Jewish people, like all ethnic groups, are disproportionately affected by a number of genetic conditions. Carriers of these recessive conditions are healthy. They will not develop these conditions, but they are at increased risk of passing on to the condition to their children if their partner is also a carrier for the same condition.
When Hanochi was born, we realised there was a problem straight away because he wasn't able to feed at all. He wanted to latch on and he tried to suck, and every time he did, he lost consciousness and went very floppy. It was like living in a nightmare, that every day we were stuck in hospital with him, hoping that would be the day when it turned around, when he'd be able to swallow, when he'd get off the oxygen, and days turned into weeks.
At the moment, just giving him a drink. I mean, in terms of fluids, he needs like every other boy his age, but because he can't swallow, he has to have it via a tube which goes into his stomach.
Having my drink.
Your tube drink, isn't it?
My tube drink. And it's because I can't swallow, so when I was little, my mum and dad bought me this.
Who wants to make the Hanochi special salad? So Hanoch has all his food through his tube in your tummy, don't you, Hanoch? But we still felt it was really important that he was part of family life, meal times. So always you've sat with us, haven't you, at the table? You've had your own chair at the table. You always have your own plate, don't you, and your own knife and fork?
And I pretend to eat.
You pretend to eat, that's right. You choose what food you want. That's right, he shares. We try not to make our lives defined by Hanoch's illness. We try very, very hard to do all the things that regular families do. But the truth is, our lives are totally, totally different to what they would have been had Hanochi not had familial dysautonomia. And there are still children being born now with these genetic conditions when it is completely avoidable.
This is a real case of knowledge being power. People are not aware that you can have these tests and actually prevent these diseases. As a GP, I'd like to see these tests become standard practice for Jewish families so they can prevent these devastating illnesses.
The Genius programme is a comprehensive education and screening programme targeting young Jewish adults, the parents of the future. In the first year alone, we will have gone into all of the 8 mainstream Jewish secondary schools, educating and offering screening to over 800 Jewish students.
So I'm Anne and one of the screening advisors, so what we're going to do this morning is just run through your forms.
There's a 1 in 4 chance of having an affected child if you're both carriers.
The process couldn't be simpler. They give a small saliva sample. No needles involved, is not a blood test, and that sample is then analysed in an NHS lab, and a report is written with the results which come back to participants.
I think it's a relief that I know that in 12 weeks I'll know, and it's such a thing that I wasn't really made aware of. But now that I'm made aware of it, it's so common. It's 1 in 5 in every Ashkenazi person. Like, that's quite a lot.
These disorders are completely preventable. It's around the rest of the world. Screening has been taking place for years.
We've had incredible support from the community so far that's enabled us to achieve an enormous amount in the first year with the schools programme. But this programme needs to be rolled out to universities and needs to really reach all pre-marriage couples before they start planning a family.
What's impressive about Jnetics is that they have used their own personal experiences for the good of the wider Jewish community. We all knew about Tay-Sachs as we were growing up, but you always had questioned why we weren't testing for other potential genetic issues.
I'm involved in Jnetics because tragically I lost my son from cystic fibrosis, one of the 9 disorders we now screen for. And I'm determined that nobody should go through the pain and anguish, the unnecessary pain and anguish that we went through.
So now we need to put our support behind Jnetics to help them grow their services from the school world into the university world and ensure that tens of thousands of our children are given the best possible start in life.
What we would hope is that this will spread across the entirety of Anglo Jewry. So essentially all these conditions, albeit rare, will be eradicated and nobody will have to experience what we've experienced.